What would you say then is the biggest debt trap that people are falling into right now?
Buy now, pay later has skyrocketed, and it's scary how many people are using it. It's over 1 in 4 Americans use buy now, pay later. 1 in 5 are using it to cover groceries.
Oh, no.
It used to be the frivolous entertainment. I can't afford the laptop.
This, yeah.
Yeah, the furniture, the appliance, that's the old school. And now people are just using it to live and just adding it to the tab. And what's really scary is that 40% have been late on their buy now, pay later payment, which then triggers the fees, the interest. And the craziest part to me is not even the interest and fees, it's how much more it causes you to spend. And there's data on this.
Why?
Klarna will brag to retailers saying, hey, put Klarna under your cart and it will add up to 40% for your order size.
Come on.
On average,
Why?
40% more. Because think about it, Lewis is buying a $100 pair of jeans. Well, I see this buy now, pay later. Now it's just $25 today, and I can do the other $25 2 weeks from now, another 4 weeks from now. So what happens? And well, now your cart went down to 25. We can add some more stuff to the cart. And so you don't feel it. Again, to my original point, it's become so frictionless to spend money, and it's exactly how companies like it. And so you have to add friction back into your life by saying, I'm not even gonna have my debit card info tied to that account, let alone my credit card info. I'm gonna not have any of these buy now, pay later apps on my phone that are gonna tempt me to go spend more. And you have the value. Your identity is, I'm a guy who doesn't borrow money. I'm a guy who pays for things in full, who saves up over time, and I'm really intentional. And once you do that, it's become real easy for me to not go into debt.
For someone who has been in credit card debt, student loan debt, deferred their debts for later dates for a long time, and that has been their identity based on their behaviors, how do they shift their identity overnight or over time to be a completely different identity and not be a person who goes into debt? Because it's a behavior, it's a mindset that they've had, that they've embodied. Maybe it wasn't by choice originally. Maybe they made a poor decision financially and it just snowballed the wrong way. But because of that action or that circumstance, it has become their identity. How do they shift the internal identity first so that they stop making those choices externally?
There's a humility that comes first of going, hey, maybe I'm not the smartest guy in the room. Maybe the way I've been doing it, even though it's normal, isn't actually optimal for my financial future. And then the other piece of this is you got to decide what kind of person you're going to be. Are you going to be a person who just always has a payment because that's what your parents told you and society told you? Or are you going to kind of swim upstream? And I just talked to a bunch of college students yesterday at Arizona State University, largest public university. And it was scary to me how many of them had some student loan debt, had some car debt, had some credit card debt, and they were so nonchalant. They were like, well, I'd rather see the money in savings than pay down the debt. Not that exciting to pay down the debt, very exciting to see my savings grow. But they're not realizing there's a false sense of security when you're hanging on to debt while having some savings build.
It's not real money.
Exactly. When you owe a lender $40,000 and you got $10,000 in the bank, the math says you're broke. And that's the scary part, is you have to realize I can do so much better if I invested this car payment instead of gave it to Toyota lending for the rest of my life. So that's the math I do with college students, especially the young people. I pull out my investment calculator. I go to RamseySolutions.com. I plug in the numbers and go, what's your car payment? $500 a month? Great. Let's pop that in. If you keep carrying a car payment and just trade in the car, get another car, $500 a month, maybe even more, you are missing out on $1 million to $2 million plus that you would have had without even investing, just trading the car payment.
One of our team members here is a younger team member. He doesn't have a car yet, and he lives very close, and he walks here, and he's like, I'm thinking about getting a car. I go, do what you want, but don't get a car for as long as you can, because you can walk or take the subway or the bus and just invest that money at 23, 24, 25. Like, I get it. You might need a car eventually to be able to get around the town or something, but what would life look like if you didn't have a car for the next few years? And
if you can get by without it.
What would life look like? And maybe it's not as convenient. Maybe you've got to take a couple Ubers here and there, or you got to take the bus and it takes a little more time, or you take the subway, or you ask a friend for a ride, or you get a bike. I have a friend that doesn't own a car. He has a bike. He goes all around the city. He says it's faster because...
That tracks. In LA, that definitely tracks.
The traffic, he says it's faster. His kids go in the back of his bike. He goes everywhere in a bike in LA.
I bet he's in great shape too.
Great shape. He's He knows all the bike lanes. He's got the app that tells you where to go to save time. And it's like, for 10 years, his name's Michael Schneider, he hasn't had a car in LA. He goes to the airport in his bike and leaves it at the airport.
Chains it up at the airport.
At the airport, everything. And he goes, it's created freedom in my life. Financial freedom also, but also just, I'm outside. I see nature. I'm choosing to go places intentionally. I get a workout, all these things.
Like the minimalist, it's kind of that simplicity mindset of just how can I do more with less?
Yes.
And even to cars, the car is just the first portion of buying the car. Then you got gas, maintenance, the insurance. I mean, we get calls on the Ramsey show. They go, well, my car payment's $1,000, but the insurance is $300. Then gas was costing them $1,400 a month.
Oh.
Because it's one of these gas guzzlers.
$2,500 a month right there.
Exactly.
Imagine putting $2,500 a month into your investment account.
That's how to shift that. Once you go, you need to get angry. And that, to your point, you said, what is going to cause someone's mindset to shift who is carrying that debt?
Yes.
It's anger and pain. That's got to be the catalyst. Because you know this, I want to be in as good of shape as you. But I'm not at a point in my life where I'm so out of shape that I'm angry enough, that it's painful enough.
It's not big enough pain.
Yeah, that's why we're inspired when someone drops 150 pounds. If I drop 10 pounds, you would barely notice. Yeah. You know what I mean? No. And so that's where there needs to be enough pain. And so what I try to do in the Ramsey show and when I'm talking to people is pull the rubber band back to make them feel that pain. Because we've been desensitized. We're really good at avoiding pain, even when it's there.
Gosh.
We've got so many vices in our life and distractions and anti-boredom devices.
Oh, yeah.
We never have to actually experience our pain. We don't even know the amount of debt we're in. We're not going to look at the credit report or the bank account because that's negative energy. And so when you're actually forced to deal with the reality, that causes some pain. Now we can start somewhere.
Yeah. What is the one thing people buy to look rich that actually guarantees they'll stay poor?
Oof. Man, I mean, the car is the most glaring. The house is the biggest. That's the biggest purchase that people buy as the I've made it. And you see this a lot. The scariest part is this happens with high earners. 6-figure earners, they have the hardest time downgrading their lifestyle because now you have to live the 6-figure life. You got to have a nicer house, got to have a nicer car. And if you live in a crappy neighborhood with a beater car, people go, wow, I thought they were doing well. Apparently not. Or it's, again, self-imposed, where they go, well, I feel like I need to prove to myself that I've made it. So it all goes back to that insecurity.
Yeah.
And when you're secure in yourself, you're self-aware, you know who you are, what your identity is, what values you have around money, that to me, that person is going to build wealth, whether they make $50,000 or $500,000. Because otherwise, you can make all the money in the world. And if you're insecure, with no self-awareness, with no real values or goals, just kind of untethered, you're going to go spend it all.
That's so interesting. So if you're emotionally or psychologically insecure, you're going to be financially insecure as well, it sounds like.
Beautifully said.
Either making poor financial decisions to look more successful or more secure, or just not having the confidence in yourself to go earn money based on your lack of worth.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm not saying I had it all figured out money-wise. I definitely have my money challenges. But I was so happy living in a 2-bedroom apartment until I was 40 years old. That might sound weird, but it's like, I didn't need more. I was also never married. So I was like, why buy a house?
Do you need a 5-bedroom house right now?
I don't need this.
In LA.
And I was like, I don't want a starter home, like a 3-bedroom home. I have
just to say you have a home.
Yeah, I didn't need that. I was like, let me just invest. I lived fine in a 2-bedroom apartment. No, I had a nice 2-bedroom apartment and I
wasn't
upgraded.
a dump.
Yeah. But I didn't need that to flex. And I didn't need a nice car to flex. The only reason I bought a new car was for like a tax purpose for the business eventually. Otherwise, I had my $4,000 car for years. And then I was like, all right, I think I want like GPS, I want like radio. That was essentially what it was. But until then, I was happy in a 2-bedroom apartment, a $4,000 car in my late 30s.
Wow.
And I was fine.
You know what I found out? This is something I'm guilty of. Once you go to a certain level, you can never go back. And the best example I have is Keurig. So I drank Keurig in college, right? I had the Keurig coffee machine. That was my college go-to.
Yeah.
And then I found out about the AeroPress. Now I'm making espresso, making lattes.
Oh, you're like, man, I'm like a...
And now I went, wow, I can't drink the Keurig anymore. Now I have a fancy coffee machine. I get single origin beans and I grind them fresh in my Baratza Encore grind,
Yeah, you're a barista.
And now I go to a hotel with a Keurig and I go, oh, I can never drink that. And I found out this is what I realized. It's an epiphany. Maybe someone else has figured this out. The happiest people are the ones who can drink a Keurig happily.
Yes.
I'm jealous
Or
now.
even powdered coffee, instant coffee.
Yes.
Just put it in, some water. And
I used to judge them and say, wow, have some class, have some taste. And now I just look at them and go, must be nice.
Must be nice to be
Must
free.
be nice. Yes.
Psychologically, you're free from needing it to be a certain way.
So now translate that to the financial world.
Oh, man.
Now I'm jealous of the person who has a simple life, the car that gets from A to B. Yeah, it's got a little fender bender here and there. It's not the prettiest. And they are happy as a clam because they're debt free. They've bought themselves freedom by avoiding the debt. And too many people...
By not paying for anything.
Exactly.
They bought themselves freedom by not overspending.
Yeah. So realize that once you get that nice brand new car, you're going to have a real hard time ever buying a used car again. It's going to feel like a real downshift.
No, I can't do it now.
It's so hard. That's human nature.
You know, maybe I could with a car because I just don't care enough. But I have a Tesla that I really love. I'm just so comfortable in.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay.
That's true. I can't go... I'll never... not be able to have a Tesla anymore.
Electric, man.
It changed my life. The
Tesla,
self-driving changed my life. I realized how little I enjoy driving once it did it for me.
And it's just better than you.
Yes.
It is
6 cameras.
It's better than
100% of the time watching versus my human brain.
It's a superior machine.
It is.
It's unbelievable. It's hard to go back to the Stone Ages.
When I drive my wife's car now, I'm angry. I'm like, oh gosh, I have to hit the pedal on my own? I have to hit the brake? This is insane. And so that's a great analogy for just human evolution and our standards. And so that's why it breaks my heart when people live beyond their means. Yeah. They have the hardest time ratcheting down.
If you're going in debt to go beyond your means, it's going to be really hard to go back to a level you're not comfortable with.
Yeah. Versus someone who's making 45 grand, who's not living above their means, but they're just having a hard time getting by. I could help that person all day long.
Oh, gosh, you know what? When I was in high school, my mom bought me a $1,000 car. It was what was it? It was a Honda Prelude, and it was probably 1993 or something like that. It was a stick shift. It was a 2-door. It was so beaten down, but it was the coolest thing for me to just be I'm driving my stick shift, the little 2-door car. I was happy in that car. $1,000 car. It only lasted for a year and a half, but I was this gets me to school and back. I can go see my friends. It was the coolest thing.
Isn't it funny how you look back at that nostalgia with joy? You're that was when I may have been my happiest, and because you were living the simplest.
I mean, now I was struggling and psychologically in relationships and all these other areas of my life. But
sure, you didn't have the maturity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But from that $1,000 car, I was this is the coolest thing ever. So maybe I could go back and have listen, I could do anything if I had to, but if I was going to buy a used car that was maybe a stick shift, truck or something, just to have something to get me around, maybe it's all right, cool, I can enjoy this.
That's the new thing now, is we want to go back to the old school analog, add friction back in. I want it to be difficult to drive the car.
You think people really want that? I'm getting all this content fed to me of homesteading. My wife really wants to have land. You live in Tennessee. You're probably essentially homesteading yourself. It's you guys live in Tennessee. You've got the...
My friend Dr. John Deloney, that's his thing.
His vibe
he wants to just have a ton of land, be able to live off the fat of the land, have the garden.
And it's this idea of having, a little piece of land, a few acres, having your own animals, chickens, growing your own food, and living off grid, where you don't need to spend money on a car, on rent, on electricity, on utilities,
the
on
chaos
water.
Of society.
Exactly. You don't have to be bought into the machine, right? You can just save your money, invest it so you can buy your piece of land and live off grid. What do you think of that lifestyle? I feel like it's coming back, or I'm just being fed this content that more people are doing it because they don't want to be spending so much of their time making money to pay bills.
Yeah.
They want to be spending their time with their kids, teaching their kids, tending to their animals and their land, having quality time, making bonfires, playing board games, and living that dream. What do you think about that life, or people wanting to go back to that way of living versus the conveniences of life?
I think most people love the idea of it. I think they would hate the reality of it.
Of how hard it actually is.
I think get old real quick, and how much sacrifice it actually takes. I mean, go ask a farmer. You're I want to live on a farm. And do you know what time they're up?
Yeah.
Do you know how much they're working during that day just to get by and survive and tend to the fields and the crops and the animals and the cattle? It's an insane amount of work. So the homesteading became popular on Instagram. And so then you find out, well, it's kind of a farce because they had all this family money and they kind of started the trend. And you're like, okay, so you need $5 million to own all this land, build something beautiful on it, and then maintain it with help and, labor, because you're not going to do it all yourself. So it's a little bit of a fantasy, but the idea behind it is I want to get out of the noise. I want to get out of the chaos, the consumerist culture, the grind, the treadmill. That part I relate to. I think we're just jumping to the most extreme thing. The pendulum's swinging so hard because we're so exhausted by this life we've created for ourselves.
Where do you feel like it's going to be by 2030? I keep hearing about this 2030 agenda. No one's going to own anything and be happy.
The great reset.
The reset. They've been saying this since 2020, right?
It's like the people
since COVID.
Guessing the last day of the earth, like the apocalypse.
Right.
And like, oh, we miscalculated. It'll be 3 years from now. So nobody knows. Only the Lord knows when it's all coming down. I live my life.
But in terms of the financial situation, not like the world.
They're saying there's going to be a crash and it's too good to be true. There's a bubble with AI and, there's all kinds of financial institutions going, hey, the market's not going to be good the next decade. It's going to be a real rough and tumble.
But then it always comes back.
Well, you look back, what were they saying a decade ago? Same thing. No one predicted where we'd be today.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of pessimism, and that's what gets clicks. If you went, hey, the market's going to continue to do great, keep on keeping on. I'm tuned out now. There's not much you can say there.
Yeah.
But you can dig all day long into how terrible things are going to be. So I'm a glass half full kind of guy when it comes to the future, the economy. Everyone thinks, everything's inflated in the stock market right now because of AI and technology. And I'm like, what if you're wrong and AI actually bolsters the stock market for the next decade? And we'd see... we saw returns like 25% up, 23% up, 17% up in the last 3 years.
Wow.
And then people go, George, you always say 10% returns. Nobody's getting that. I'm like, you're right. If you've been actually investing, you'd notice it's been more like 17, 20, 23, 25% the last couple of years.
Yeah, but if you average it over the next 40 years, if you get 10%, that's amazing.
Exactly. And that's what we've seen. I mean, there's more up years than down years in the stock market if you go look at the charts. And there's not a whole lot of years where there's a crash like 2008. And there's a whole lot of years where it's up 10, 12, even 20%. And so I'm not like a, pie in the sky guy. I like to look at the data to inform what could happen in the future.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy this and you want more inspirational content, make sure to click the subscribe button below and click right here to watch what's coming next.